This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
We're seeing holding signs that Dalvin Cook is signing with the Dolphins tomorrow. They seem pretty upset about that. Well, I just want to know, were the French at least holding up signs of Lillard to Miami? That's more important right now. I need to find out about Lillard. There he is, the man that is following this story, Ira Winderman for the South Florida Sun Sentinel. Good morning, sir. I hope you had a great weekend.
I had no weekend, and until this gets resolved, I'll have no weekend. And I guarantee that the Lillard deal will get done while I'm flying to Vegas, and they're just waiting. Their agents are saying, okay, when's Ira on the plane? Let's make sure the Wi-Fi.
You got internet on the planes now. So
yes, good. But they'll make sure the Wi-Fi doesn't work. They'll make sure, just to screw me. It's interesting, Big O. The reason I was waving to you is everyone, before I come on a lot of these appearances, including I did NBA TV last night, sort of says, well, I think Ira will say this. And then I'm like, hey, I'll tell you what I'm saying, but I do agree with you for this reason. And I mentioned this on NBA TV last night.
So ridiculous.
People think Bradley Beal got to where he wanted to go, or one of his final two destinations, because he had a no-trade clause. But in the NBA, the player's leverage is such, and I'm going to give you the perfect example. James Harden has not had a no-trade clause, but he got to Brooklyn let's go back. He got to Houston when he wanted to be a leading man instead of Oklahoma City as a third wheel. He got to Brooklyn when he wanted to play with KD. He got to Philly when he didn't want to play with Kyrie. He'll probably get his way now where he wants to go next, to the Clippers, because that's what happens. Because you do not want – what business out there? And again, you can deal with Big O on the chat board when I'm done here in our Acura Pembroke Pines report. What business person out there goes into an interview with a prospective employee, and the employee says, I don't want to work here? What person hires that guy, let alone for an average of $50 million a year?
Nobody. That's why it's just it's $216 million. You just and whoever's acquiring it, you're also going to pay a tax probably, because you'll probably become a tax.
Hell yeah.
That guy. So it's more than 216. So if you know the guy wants to play in Miami, the word is out. To me, that first day, they have the leverage. I was laughing at that from the first second, because there's one league in professional sports that the players really control where the hell they go. It's the NBA, buddy. It's the NBA freaking A, and they all get what they want. And it's just too much money to trade to someone that they're now going to have to be, it's the challenge is now I got to win this guy over and give him hundreds of millions of dollars. No, that doesn't make any sense. If I'm giving you hundreds of millions of dollars, you should love me. You should want to play with me. You should want to embrace me. And that's what he wants to embrace. He wants to embrace Miami, man. So
the one thing I'll say is he's a good guy and he's recognized. You've never heard bad stuff about Dame. So
he's fantastic, please.
Does he want to harm that reputation? Matt Weiner, when I was talking to on NBA TV last night, had a really good point. This could be the rare case of a guy being a good guy hurting his bargaining position. Because I could see a Greg Popovich going, you know what? If we bring him in, it'll be fine. He's a good guy. He'll come around. He'll play for Pop. He'll work with Wembanyama. He might make it work. So that does work a little against it. Look, if James Harden's not happy, we've seen it, Big O. The way he sabotaged the Rockets, the way he sabotaged the Nets when he wouldn't shoot the ball. We knew what was going on. Dame will never do that. On the other hand, I do like what's coming out in a lot of different venues saying what he has done for the Blazers for all these years. How could you send him to purgatory? Even
Ray Bork. That's all you need to know. If you have any history, I talked about it over the weekend. Ray Bork, dude, Boston was going nowhere.
Avalanche.
And that guy gave you freaking everything. He's a Hall of Famer. They did him the favor, sent him over to the Avalanche to kick the Panthers' ass 4 straight and win what he deserves, dude. You know what I'm saying? It's a Ray Bork moment is what you have to be in Portland right now. He did everything on his end. You failed him. Now treat him with class and put him in a position to win it all. And
I'll give you part 2 of that.
That's all it is.
And there's a part 2 to that. I understand that the Blazers don't want Tyler Hero because they have Anthony Simons, Shaedon Sharpe, and Scoot Henderson. You know what? Be a great GM. Find a way to find a third team to make this work. And I'm going to give you a perfect example, Orlando Alzugaray. When Jimmy Butler wanted to come to the Heat and the Heat had no cap space, Andy Ellisberg sat there in his supercomputer and he said, you know what we'll do? We'll send Josh Richardson to the Sixers. We'll send Hassan Whiteside to the Blazers. We'll take on Myers Leonard's contract. We'll send a first-round pick to the Clippers. We'll bring back Mo Harkless. He got 4 teams involved and he found a way. Be a great GM, Joe Cronin. Do your job. Say, I understand Tyler Hero doesn't work in Portland. I have no issue with that. I agree with every pundit who says that. There's 28 other teams. Find a team that he does work with. Get extra picks out of that. Get a player at a different position. Throw in Yusuf Nurkic to the Heat. I have no issue with that. I went on NBA TV and I got criticized by Heat Nation on this Big O last night, so I'll throw this back at you. I said the Heat should tell the Blazers this. You can't have Jimmy Butler. You can't have Bam Adebayo. Anyone else you want, let's make a deal. There's a little bit of pushback on Caleb Martin, just like and I get it, but you have to make it work also. So that's what I would say. I would say if a Heat deal for Damian Lillard included anyone beyond Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo, I'm fine with it. Now let the GMs work. Do your job. That's my thought.
Yeah, I would be a little reserved on Caleb, but I kind of learned my lesson with Shaq.
Yes.
And so, and Shaq scared me. Like Damian doesn't scare me. Shaq scared me because he was 400 pounds with a toe problem. And so I'm like, wow, is Riley really going to reach him? And he did reach him for a year. I will say that at least. Then Shaq also went in the direction I expected it to go.
And then a year later, that was it. He went to Phoenix. And there is that a-hole issue. Here's the difference. You saw that festering with the Lakers with Kobe. My way or the highway. The two of them bumping heads.
Yeah. You and letting himself go, too, on top of all of that.
Yes.
Okay? That was
but you can't find that with Lillard. You could say, hey, Lillard could have had an issue with C.J. McCollum having those games when he's 1 for 15 and keeps shooting. You could have said Lillard could have had his issues with some of the bad draft choices from the Blazers. But he never made it public and made it an issue, and he wouldn't do that here either. Now, Big O has always told me, Ira, be careful of age. He's 33. He has 4 years left. You're getting to that Jimmy Butler problem area. But as with Shaq, live in the moment right now. The Heat always find a way to come out from the dark side on the other end. Might be a couple of uneven seasons, but you've seen the progression from the big three to Goran Dragic, to Jimmy Butler, to this latest incarnation. They find a way, even with the Kyle Lowry contract, which had been a ballast contract for the first 2 years. They still went to the Eastern Conference Finals and the NBA Finals. They find a way out of the darkness. They wind up seeing the light through all of these deals, even Chris Bosh's illness.
Yeah, no, and Brian Grant, that was also
Alonzo.
They find ways to get out of all of that. You have to make this move because you've already proven that your window is here now. You are a contender, but you need that other star that they don't have. And Damian can give you at least another year or two, which is what probably Jimmy's window is left, another year or two. And then maybe that third year might be a little ugly, and that fourth year might be a little ugly for the Heat and all that, and trying to get the salaries. But, brother, if I'm the LA Rams and you got your title and then you got to deal with a year or two of fuzziness after that, we're good. You're talking about your 4th title. You're talking about another trip to the finals. We're good. We can deal with the bad. What I can't deal with and what frustrates me is that the last 4 years, you haven't been able to find that star. So this is why now this is imperative. You have to make this move. This is the only move. And this is the other thing I loved about what the Heat did this offseason. They have shown incredible discipline because I did not want Bradley Beal. I didn't think that was the deal to make. Plus, I don't think he's a dog, to be quite honest. I just don't see dog like I see Lillard dog. And then you didn't panic on Max. I know the Gabe part really hurt because it's the point guard. But if you're going to get Lillard, you got to then give that up. And then the Oladipo move. Okay, so you gave up your second rounder, but now you got it back in the Strus. So at least that's a wash, but you unloaded the salary. You have set yourself up for the only move you can make this offseason. And either you go for Damian Lillard or you strike out and move on to next year. I'm fine with that. What I'm not fine with is the desperation moves of Whiteside and Dion Waiters and Granger and Bob and Lowry and Duncan and Oladipo. There's a lot of Arizas and all. Those are the moves that
Tyler Johnson, James Johnson, yeah.
all those kind of moves since the big three. Those are the things that have pissed me off about them, and some of them have had desperation taste to them. This offseason has been beautifully disciplined by them.
Which is why, Big O, because I didn't get a chance to talk to you since the other two, you have to pull back a little on Gabe Vincent and Max Strus. We love them as people. We love them as players. We love what they've done as developmental, but we've learned a lesson. The Duncan Robinson lesson, the Tyler Johnson lesson. You don't settle for good. You don't settle for good enough. This league is not fair in the salary hierarchy. It's all about the top end and the lower end. That's just the way it is. In a sport where you only play 5 guys at a time, you damn well better spend for your top end guys and know their ultimate guys. When you get stuck in the middle with a bunch of nice players, that's all you have. And you know what? They got nice players. They got Josh Richardson. He's your nice player who replaces Max Strus. They got Thomas Bryant.
Right. I love that pickup. I love that pick. He will play his best, mark my words.
Sure.
He will play his best basketball of his entire career right here. That's a Heat player. I've watched that guy for several years. That guy fits what they want to do here.
Thomas Bryant is a huge upgrade on Cody Zeller and Omer Yurtseven. He's a guy who can give you double-doubles. He's a guy you can actually take Bam out of the game and not go, oh, my God, what's going to happen now? You have a guy like that.
I didn't realize that he was actually pretty good, 3.30,
yes.
3.8. And I bet you they get him to 38% here. I bet you. I bet you from 36.8, I bet he gets to 38 here.
And I like the Orlando Robinson move. Hey, as a third string center, you know what the difference is? With Yurtseven, you saw he was never going to defend. He just can't physically. Okay, that's part of his thing. I think as a third string center, Orlando Robinson, nice developmental guy. Again, if he wants money, bye-bye. But on the low end of the salary scale now, hey, that's beautiful. And again, I just posted a story at the Sun Sentinel with the current depth chart. I know we want Dame Dollar. I know they want Lillard. But if you look at the current depth chart right now, and I tell you, Big O, you can have a starting lineup of Bam Adebayo and Kevin Love and Jimmy Butler and Tyler Hero and let's say Duncan Robinson for shooting. Not overwhelming, but you also have Josh Richardson, Thomas Bryant, Jaime Jaquez off the bench, and Caleb Martin as a sixth man. That's a competitive 9 deep. This is what you and I are talking about. This is not a team that said, we went to the finals, we lost out on maybe a Lillard or a top guy, but they're not going to the toilet. They're still going to be a competitive team, a playoff team, and then once they get to the playoffs, Jimmy Butler raises his game, Spo raises his game, you're still going to have a shot. That's the difference with this team. They're not going to do this like so many NBA teams, going up and down. They're going to find a way to keep themselves in the mix. They've done that so far. Now we wait on the big move.
I'm going to tell you something a little bit. I'm going to get a little ahead of myself on this one. I'm hoping that in this trade, if you lose Caleb, I hope you keep Jaime.
Yes.
And why I'm saying this is watching the highlights, watching some stuff on YouTube on him, because I watched a lot on him now over the last week.
He's a man.
Yeah, he's Wade. And slow down, folks, because I did this on Saturday. Slow down. He's Wade because of maturity. He's going to come into this league and make an impact right away and help you because he's mature. He's crafty, dude. And so I like that in Caleb, too. Caleb's a guy that can attack the rim, can fill the lane, can shoot from the outside, can distribute. He's smart. He's intelligent. He's crafty.
Yes.
I like this kid, too, in the same sense that he has a lot of that. And he can find his own shot, too. Something that I think Butler, since you want Dane here to help carry the load, and then you also want a guy that can alleviate the load off of Butler when he's off the floor. Caleb's that guy, but I don't want to lose Jaime and Caleb. So I want to kind of keep one of those guys so I can, have the backup to Jimmy. Okay, so am I getting too ahead of myself here?
No, you're not. And as a matter of fact, I want to clarify one thing because people sort of read it the wrong way. On Saturday, the Heat signed Jaime Jaquez to his first-rounder contract. That means he can't be traded for 30 days. But I want people to get perspective. Damian Lillard's not going to play another game of meaning for another 3+ months. So they still can include Jaime in a deal and just say, hey, we'll announce this August 3rd, August 5th. You know how this works, Big O. Deals are made and then timing elements are put into play. So again, if they say either Jaime or Caleb, you sit back and you decide where it goes there. They could still put Jovic into a trade. There's still plenty of parts. There are timing elements. But again, it's not like Lillard has to be in uniform tomorrow, next week, or next month. There's enough time there also. So there are plenty of things they could still put into play.
All right, so who's the third, fourth team in all of this? Nets for sure? Because everybody keeps talking.
It's interesting. I was told yesterday.
Started with the Nets thing. Everybody's gone crazy with the 5 picks and all that stuff.
I think the Nets were mentioned for Tyler. What I was told is that it looks like the Nets are not going to be the team that winds up with him. I was told maybe Oklahoma City. It seems like when the Heat need to dump someone, you call Oklahoma City.
They got picks.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about Oklahoma City because the Heat have dumped Myers Leonard there. They've dumped Victor Oladipo there. It's sort of the Heat's way station. But again, Andy Ellisberg is great. I don't know if Joe Cronin is great. You find a spot from a player and you work backwards. They should be sitting in Portland saying 28 other teams. Where does Tyler Hero fit? Okay, we can reroute Tyler Hero to your team. What can you reroute to us? Look, Tyler is a very good player. I think he's a number 3. Maybe with the Clippers, he could be their number 3 behind George and Kawhi Leonard. I don't know. Hell, maybe if the Sixers are moving Harden, he could be the number 3 with Maxey and Embiid there. You can find a way where you don't have to sell him as he's a number 2 or number 1. He's not. That's not what he is right now. But you should be able to make it work. I think the Heat, when they get done, this could be a 3 or 4 team trade, and Andy Ellisberg will have everything mapped out and all figured out. If they have to unlock a first-round pick from Oklahoma City, I do know this. If the Blazers seriously think they can just sort of, I don't want to say screw Dame, but just force him to a place, it's going to get ugly, and I think the Blazers will lose a ton of credibility when they try to have their next franchise guy. Even in the darkest days of Dwayne Wade not getting his meeting with Mickey Arison, the Heat always knew, at worst, he goes back home to Chicago. At worst, he goes to a place that he wants to be if he's not in Miami. The Heat knew that door was open. The Heat have been very careful when players are out of here to get them to places that they might want to go or take care of players. Goran might not have wanted to go to Toronto, but when they gave him an extra $19 million, he was a little bit happier about going to Toronto. So you see which teams take care of your players and which don't. Portland knows they have that spotlight right now.
What was the dude with the U that they took care of in a, I don't know, wink type of way? Uriah?
Beno Udre. They needed cap space to add a player and he was injured. So they basically said, we're going to waive you now. You're going to shockingly agree to give up salary. And yet next summer, you're going to wind up with a guaranteed contract of $2 million to come into camp and we'll take care of you. Yeah, that's what you do. You take care of your own. You do right by your players.
Yeah, they do that. All right, so you're expecting a third. Could there even be a 4th team in this thing?
Oh, yeah. There could be a 5th or 6th team. I mean, you remember the Antoine Walker, Jason Williams deal with the Grizzlies. Remember when they redid the team before they won their title in 2006 with Posey? And it was the Pelicans, and it was the Celtics, and it was I think the Suns were involved. They were moving players right and left. That's the thing. Andy Ellisberg understands the higher math that Orlando Alzugaray and Ira Winderman don't, because that's what he does. Be great at what you do. That's what Andy Ellisberg does. It literally is like a Russell Crowe in A Beautiful Mind. He's in front of the screen there. He's moving things around. No one else can see it, but he'll find a way to get it done.
Okay, the other thing is, if Jovic comes back, if Jovic does join the team now and bulked up and all that, plus you've added Orlando, plus you've added Thomas Bryant, and then you also signed Kevin Love. And one of the things I talked about over the weekend is, I don't mind bringing back Kevin Love, but I do want to remind you, you got him while he was barely used in Cleveland, kept fresh, and then you kind of broke glass and used him as much as you could down the stretch. He is an older player. He could wear down in a full season. But what I love was that they've got some other bigger bodies. So now they really don't even have to, they can pace Love.
I agree. But not only pace him, you're looking at Jovic.
That's very important.
You're looking at Jovic. I'm going to give you another name to look at. Okay. I do think there's a chance that Haywood Highsmith can be the next Caleb Martin. Undersized 4, but a guy who gets it done. They trusted this guy in the NBA Finals. And he had playoff moments also. I think this could be the year of the Highsmith for the Heat. Again, build value.
That's why I worry about Strus. I'm good with the Strus loss because I have Highsmith.
Pipeline.
So I'm fine with that. The Gabe loss was the one like, okay, now you need a point guard.
I agree.
But if you're going to get Lillard, then we're good. Now you still got to work on a young guy just in case, because Lowry is probably going to be moved at one point.
I totally agree. The one spot in the Heat's current depth chart that I posted at sunsentinel.com is right now I have Tyler listed as the starting point guard because he's not going back to the bench, ego. And Kyle Lowry is the backup because he's 37 limitations. I don't feel very comfortable about that. I don't think Tyler's a true point guard. Kyle Lowry could end at any minute. We saw with the knee last year. So I do think you need more there. Now, the thought is this. Jimmy handles a lot. Bam is a facilitator. When Corey Joseph went to the Warriors, I thought that would have been a good name for the Heat. So I still think there is a point guard that they need to add just to give themselves a little more. They have 2 roster spots left. I know you're not overwhelmed with Drew Smith, but he did have some moments at the start of last season. They brought him in to settle their summer league roster. That's another option. Yeah, if not Lillard, they have to have one other name available to fill that spot. I do agree with you, Big O.
Yeah, and by the way, knowing these guys, if there's a 3-4 team mix here, there might be a point guard that's also coming this way too, and that we're not even talking about. That might be somebody's backup in all of this. So I think they see it because we see it, and they know more than we do.
There's always an Ish Smith to be named later. I agree. Yes.
Right, and nothing wrong with an Ish Smith actually. That's a solid backup point guard, to get. So overall, I got to say, I really love the approach of the Heat. I think it was smart. I think it's been very, very deliberate and intelligent. I think, because you've got to. This is the guy you got to get. This is the guy, and this is the perfect fit for him too. On top of all of that, I mean, it just God. All right, do you think this thing happens within the next week or two?
I think this thing happens every time I refresh Twitter because I have no life right now. I feel like I can't between my.
You can't let it linger too, right? Everybody's got to move on. That's why I say that it's got to happen.
You know what? There's yes and no. You would rather it not linger, but you don't want timing to force your hand to give too much. This is liar's poker. This is the Blazers saying we have 28 other teams, and this is the Heat going BS. You don't. So you go back and forth. So I don't want the Heat to have to throw in an extra first-round pick. The last time the Heat rushed Big O, if you remember, was the night they had the big celebration for the Big Three. And they had to get LeBron signed and Chris Bosh signed. And all of a sudden, willy-nilly, they were sending first-round picks to the Raptors and the Cavaliers to get those guys the extra year and make it work because they had to have their big show and not 5, not 6. This will be deliberate. This will be deliberate. Again, Damian Lillard will not play another NBA game that counts until the end of October. You have time. Don't let Portland force you into anything. You have your assets. They're lined up. You have what you would need to get it done. And if I'm Portland, maybe you go around the league one more time and see what you can get. I still would rather have Tyler Hero as a trade asset than Ben Simmons. I don't care about a whole bunch of picks. The problem with Heat picks is always the same thing. They're never going to be very good because the Heat are very good. Deal with it, Portland. You got a decade of Dame Lillard. He did right by you. You went for youth. Be the team that other people going forward. Wow, the Blazers did right by him. That's a team I could look at and have confidence in. Or the Blazers are a bunch of clowns.
Didn't they do it for Clyde, right?
And Bill Walton. Clyde and Bill Walton. They have taken – that was different. That was different ownership. That was different general managers. Now you have to –
But it's the right thing to do.
It's the right thing to do when you tell a player, we're going to take care of you, we're going to get a veteran, and instead you sign Jeremy Grant for some ridiculous contract to do nothing else. That's when you have to move forward. I agree.
I thought for sure Jeremy Grant would convince him that that was,
Boy, you talk about getting a pile of money as a +1 and all of a sudden sitting there. Think about that. Jeremy Grant's making almost as much as Damian Lillard. Sometimes it's good to be right player in the right place, right, Big O?
Yeah, you're right. All right, what are you doing in the Sun Sentinel following this crazy-ass story so everybody
Well, again, follow that depth chart I posted today, and you can just see that, hey, if you have to be in a holding pattern, not the end of the world. They made smart moves. Tonight at 6 o'clock in Sacramento, ESPN2, I believe, the Heat will play the Lakers Summer League team. I'm really curious to see Jaime Jaquez, what he does. I want to see what Nikola Jovic does. I want to see Orlando Robinson. They said they're going to move him on the perimeter more, shoot threes. Jamal Cain's going to be out there. Jeremy Bouye, one of your favorites from last year's Summer League. This, I know it's Summer League, but it's worth watching.
I love oh damn it. Sean, who's the guy that we fell in love with towards the end? Number 8, I believe it was.
Jamal Cain, right? Yes.
Love, yeah,
Right.
dude. Jamal Cain,
And I think he has a chance.
Intrigued with.
Yeah, I think he has a chance, like Orlando Robinson, to get a full regular contract. They still have 2 minimum slots left. Also, this is a good year to watch Heat Summer League. Yeah,
he's tough. I wonder if he built up his body because he's a little. While he's tough and physical,
right.
He's not really the biggest guy.
No, he's slight of build. He's a 2-3, so it'll be interesting. But there's a lot to watch tonight, so keep an eye on that. We'll have a story on that tomorrow in our Sun Sentinel.
Like I've said, the Heat are one of the few teams in the NBA that make the summer league fun. Actually. Yes. Every year now, because there's always something to look forward to. All right, follow him on Twitter at Ira Heatbeat. Catch his work there at the South Florida Sun Sentinel, and catch him twice a week here doing his thing with the Acura Pembroke Pines, Miami Heat, and NBA Report. Ira, thank you, sir. Have a terrific week and safe flight.
I will catch you talking from Vegas, crack of dawn. Thanks, Big O.
You got it. There you go. Ira Winderman. Well, we can get you later if you want, Ira, so you can sleep in a little bit. You don't have to do it like that. What this would be like at 7:20 in the morning, so there you go. Danny Finns fan says, new listener since yesterday. Keep up the great work, Big O. Happy 4th. Wow, since yesterday. Okay, thank you, sir. That is your Miami Heat and NBA reports.
This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.